Well, it never ends. Debt concerns flared up again as Italy became Europe's latest credit ratings target. Standard & Poor's downgraded the Mediterranean nation, triggering the predictable sell-off on most markets. And it was shades of 2008 amid signs of growing mistrust of Europe's banks. Here's Philip Lasker.
Another day, another downgrade. Credit ratings agency Standard & Poor's downgraded Europe's third biggest economy, Italy, and the shockwaves hit many markets throughout Asia.
What it shows is the stresses in the European debt crisis are now starting to spread to the larger economies.
The market is saying Italy's broke, and that forecast can make Italy broke.
The Australian share market lost another 1% today due to fears Europe's mess would trigger a global recession, which would be bad news for Australia's resources trade.
Certainly there is selling of some of the key commodities, which is obviously again putting pressure on the Aussie dollar. So we may well be talking another test of parity or below in coming days.
Falls in commodity prices didn't help shares either, but some see other reasons for the sell-off.
Equities in Australia, equities throughout the world don't look particularly cheap, and I think we're seeing, as leverage is reduced in the global investment system, equities going back to closer to fair value. They may end up being cheap, but to get to really cheap levels, you've probably got to see another 20 or 30% downside in my view.
The Australian dollar fluctuated wildly against the US currency, dropping below 102 US cents at one stage. Then it firmed briefly after the Reserve Bank's September board minutes were released. It reinforced the view that the debt crisis is weighing more heavily on interest rate decisions, but the bank says it's well placed to move rates up or down if necessary.
I think at the moment it's hedging its bet. It is concerned about the short-term outlook on the basis of Europe and its flow-on effects around the whole global economy, but in the medium term it's still concerned about the inflation being too high in Australia.
Meanwhile, mistrust is also growing, with reports that the Bank of China has stopped doing certain business with some European banks.
There are reports overnight of big industrial companies withdrawing deposits from French banks and giving it to the ECB. There's also stories of foreign banks not willing to take on Italian and French banks as counterparties.
Uncertainty remains the only certainty.